Today says a growing trend finds more adults are buying toys for themselves, and the industry is cashing in with new products marketed specifically toward millennials and Gen Xers. Reports on the growing trend of kidults. Okay, well, that name sucks, first of all. Matt Walsh responds saying, it's really time to grow the heck up, folks. Way past time. We have another post here from Rita Panahi. Excuse me, that's not the post, though. This is the post, where Rita says, hard times create strong men create good times create weak men, and weak men create hard times, in response to a CNBC article that, like the other one says, similarly, adults are buying toys for themselves, and it's the biggest source of growth for the industry. You got some men here. I think they're playing with Warhammer miniatures. It's kind of hard to tell. The resolution ain't great. What is that, like Tau versus Chaos Marines or something? I don't know. Maybe that's not even Warhammer. But anyways, Lunar Archivist responds saying, I usually agree with your opinions, but not in this case. Everyone needs downtime/escapism to get their mind off of things. Don't shame adults for liking toys. It's certainly healthier than drugs, alcohol, gambling, etc. People would respond, one person saying it depends on the item. Lunar Archivist saying mostly action figures for them. And another response saying, I clearly remember boomers having entire rooms dedicated to train sets and dollhouses so intricate and detailed you could mistake a photograph for a real house. I'm going to share more of my opinion on this topic in general in a moment, but on the topic of the train toy point that guy brought up in the tweet, it's actually rather interesting because there is a restaurant in Los Angeles that's now pretty low-key. I think a lot of people don't know about it, but it used to be an extremely famous restaurant. It would have some of these Hollywood dudes like Frank Sinatra going in there. You know, some of these old-school Hollywood types from like the golden age of Hollywood when it was a lot different than it is now, like completely night and day. Of course, Hollywood probably always had problems, but nothing like current where it's like a massive cesspit. And they would be smoking cigars, drinking whiskey. And to get to the seating area of that restaurant, there is a bar/lobby that you have to walk through. And in the bar/lobby, at the top of the room is a train that goes around the top of the room, like by the ceiling. It's a train track that goes around in a complete loop, and it just loops around that part of the restaurant. So you literally got dudes smoking cigars, drinking whiskey, talking business as a toy train is going around in a circle. Now, okay, I get it. This restaurant having a toy train isn't the same thing as those dudes having toys. Which, by the way, I don't know if they did or didn't. Maybe some of them did. But the point is this. Ultimately, in my opinion, this sort of thing is variable on two main factors. One, the type of toy we're talking about. And two, what else that person is doing in their life. For example, if this is a dude who has their stuff together, has a good job, maybe even owns a business, whatever the case may be, whatever example you want to use, they got their stuff together, they're able to help their friends, their family take care of themselves, maybe even give back a little bit to their local communities or something like that. And they also seem to like Warhammer or play D&D on the side. Like, dude, that's not a big deal. And as a matter of fact, I would say the people like Matt Walsh that are getting pressed about that is less mature and less manly. Like, dude, you can't let yourself get so pressed that easily. It's kind of pathetic in my opinion. Now, you could say Matt Walsh is kidding around. He's sarcastic, whatever. Okay, maybe he's not that pressed by it. That's fair enough. But at the very least, he is making some sort of opinion where he thinks it's negative. And I think, like I said, it depends on variables. And to just have a default stance where it's all negative, it's like, yeah, not really, dude. Not really. Now, I'll give you an example of when it could be a negative. Let's say there's a dude, grown adult, doesn't have a job, doesn't look for a job, doesn't take care of themselves, doesn't work out, is letting their health go, leeches off their parents, has no drive to improve, no drive to give back or help anyone, is literally just leeching and doing nothing productive, and they also happen to have a toy collection. Yeah, it's probably not a very great thing, I would say. So ultimately, like I said, just the third time I'm going to repeat it, it depends on variables in my opinion. Sometimes you get people, they're often right-leaning, conservative types, and sometimes they get so extreme to the you gotta be manly rhetoric that they become pathetic and unmanly in my opinion. Like, they just cry about the most trivial things, being like, that's not mature manly. And it's like, well, now you're not either. Congratulations, dude. However, I'm kind of split because conversely, the extreme left opinion on this is like, men gotta be crying and overly emotional and it's okay to be weak and you should post yourself crying to the internet. By the way, a lot of people call me a femboy, so I'm not like some dude who's like the manly man preaching about this stuff. Not, you're literally hearing about it from what a lot of people refer to as a femboy, so let's establish that. But anyways, the point about that is, like, the left has it wrong too. Like, sure, it's okay for men to cry, but sometimes you get these leftist men that record videos or post pictures of themselves to social media crying, and it's like the most pathetic thing. Like, why do you gotta share that on social media? At that point, it's just weird, man. Like, if you're crying in public or, you know, in front of your family for like whatever reason, some bad thing happened, you just found out that your dad died or your dog got ran over or something, and you're crying and there's other people around you, by all means, it's understandable. No worries. But when you start recording yourself and putting it on social media, that's like some performative stuff. That's super weird. I think even if it's a traumatic thing, it's kind of weird to record yourself crying and putting it out there. Now, to each their own. Personally, though, when my dad died in 2021, I didn't tell anyone about it until some dude literally tried to ruin my life / destroy my channel. And then I mentioned it because it was relevant to some stuff that was going on. Although that was a really hard call. Like I said, when I even talked about that in a video, I was very split on that. I'm like, dude, mention this or not mention it. And I thought about it very, very much. But what I didn't do was ever record a video of myself crying about stuff. And dude, I was crying the other night thinking about the things that has happened to my family and the stuff that I had to do to my own family, some decisions that I've had to make as a young dude, things that I have to live with, stuff on my blood on my hands, weight on my shoulders. Yeah, I cry about that stuff sometimes. But again, don't record videos about it. Don't even like talking about it. I'm kind of rambling now because it's uncomfortable for me to even speak on this stuff. But yeah, I also know for the most part, everyone has terrible stuff happening to them. And if people just start talking about the terrible things that happen to them all the time, that's not really going to help anyone else deal with the problems that they have. So I think overall, it's better for people to be optimistic and positive and to try and build each other up and strengthen each other. And that's not just going to happen by being like, it's okay to be weak. You can be weak. No, yeah, it's okay to show emotion. But, you know, at some point, you got to be strong, not just for yourself, but for those that you care about. So I think it's unwise to take a extreme stance in either direction. Men can't play with toys. Men got to record themselves crying. Like, no, I think probably the wiser approach is more of a middle ground stance. You know, I actually take a Bruce Lee approach to many things where Bruce Lee has said, keep what's useful and get rid of what's useless. Be like water, essentially. If you don't know, Bruce Lee actually wrote a lot of philosophy. Consider them if you like reading. You like Bruce Lee. It's pretty awesome. I would also like to apologize for getting a bit personal in this video. That was not intended. It just kind of ended up that way. And I know, you know, when I talk about that stuff, I can get rambly and not great coverage and all that. So my apologies. And now we're so close to the 8-minute mark. And I haven't had a video over 8 minutes in a long time. I generally take a pay cut with my short segments. I just like to get the videos brief and to the point, give people the info, and move on. This time we're so close to the 8-minute mark, though. Excuse me, might as well go for it. That means I can put an extra ad in the video. Yay! We got Neon from Clownfish TV here saying to Matt Walsh, "You cats fundamentally do not understand how important pop culture is to our overall culture. And if that's the prevailing attitude at the Daily Wire, your efforts to create meaningful pop culture yourselves will be dead on arrival." Some things are just fun, Matt says. George. Yeah, George. Sometimes I wonder why you make a big deal out of insignificant things. The doctor says he secretly wants a Happy Meal, but nobody will buy him one. All right. So, you know, like I said, we're just kind of getting 8 minutes. Let's read one more of these. Okay, but like, why? Like, what's wrong with me building a Lego set or playing video games? Most adulthood mean I can't have any fun unless sports or alcohol are involved. Okay, well, the sports are good. I'm a big advocate specifically for martial arts. Martial arts, gosh, I was trying to get less personal, but since we already went personal, I'll just say this because maybe it'll help some people out there. If you do deal with some, you know, difficult things in life, and we'll just leave it at that, consider taking up martial arts, specifically like Muay Thai or Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. A+ on both. If you can't do those, like boxing is good too. And I think it will help, dude. I'll tell you, some of the worst days I've had when I step foot on the mats, everything fades away, and I just focus on training. And sometimes, specifically BJJ, if you're rolling, you have to, dude, because you got people trying to tear your arms off and like choking you out. So you got to be focused on defending. You kind of get forced into it. So yeah, a big advocate for martial arts. But anyways, I forget where we left off on this. Oh yeah, the second part of the tweet. They then say, seriously curious why the hot take today is, no, you can't have fun and have things you enjoy unless I say so. All right. And hey, now we're well past the 8-minute mark. Sweet. So yeah, we'll leave it there. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. As always, let me know what you think in the comments. If you like the segment, please consider liking the video and subscribing to the channel for more segments like this every day. And yeah, I'll see you in the comments and in the next one.